This is The Spot, a BYU-Idaho radio production where we talk about what you're talking about at BYU-Idaho. The views and opinions of this podcast are not that of BYU-Idaho Radio or the university, and are solely the opinions of the hosts. Today's hosts are
Tomsik,
Maiya, Waddell, Breanna, Latouche,
and I'm Savannah McCauley. Today, we're talking about one of my favorite subjects, spooky shows, movies, and even some shows about true crime stuff. So all of that fun stuff that we talk about around Halloween season, which is not over yet. Don't let the Christmas shirts and Walmart deceive you. We are still in spooky season. So we had a few hot takes here because there are a couple things that we actually, each one of us don't like in spooky season. For me in particular, I'm actually not a huge fan of the really gory horror or like also some of the demon films and stuff like that. Not a huge fan of those kinds of things. I understand other people love watching that around this season, but it's not my favorite. But I will say most other spooky things, just peak. Love it. So, what about you guys?
I just don't like being chased by a chainsaw.
The haunted stuff. Oh yeah, that totally happens. It's terrifying.
Yeah. I'm not a big spooky fan. I think I said this last week, but I will use people as a human shield if I go to a haunted place. Also, I realized I don't like a lot of spooky movies, and if I do like them, they're the really cheesy ones, like Ghostbusters.
Yes, but that one's a classic, you know?
Mm-hmm. I'll say my hot take was a little specific. It is my, I guess, how do you say? I boycott Hocus Pocus every single year. I do not like the two films. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because everybody else raves about them and I'm just I'm different. I don't want to like it. But I don't think it's that good of a movie. I think it's rather cheesy, but maybe it's just nostalgic for people. So.
Yeah, I was about to ask, did you watch it when you were a kid?
No, but that's the funny thing is because we love Nightmare Before Christmas, right? Mm-hmm. And some people are like, that movie is really creepy. Why would you like it? And I'm like, it's a childhood favorite. Why would you not like it? But I can see why some people think that the claymation looks kind of weird.
I mean, I can understand that, but also I'm super biased. I absolutely love that movie. It's my favorite movie of all time. So when people say that Nightmare Before Christmas isn't good, it makes me upset because I love that movie.
I just love Bette Midler in Hocus Pocus. She's an amazing actress and singer, and so it's mostly for the actress that I like that movie.
Ooh, another thing I know we talked about that we did not like about the spooky movies was a lot of remakes that happened.
There's so many remakes.
Yeah, so that I know we were talking about Addams
That's movies
Family.
in general that I don't like that much. I don't like that there's so many remakes right now, in general. But yeah, spooky stuff for sure. There's so many. There are so many. And then you're like, okay, how many Goosebumps movies can we have? You know what I mean? Or things like that. So
I know Addams Family. I know that you were very adamant about some of the Addams Family remakes.
Addams Family. So the animated one, just not good. Even the jokes are worse than dad jokes, and that's saying something. I'm like, wait, was that supposed to be a joke or not? Am I supposed to be laughing right now? Because I'm not sure if that was a joke. But yeah, as far as other things, though, of course, there are so many wonderful, actual, awesome spooky shows and movies. So we'll get into that because that's what this is all about. This episode is all about the things we actually really enjoy. And one that I have to mention, at the beginning of this episode, is, of course, Stranger Things. Absolutely love that show. Have you all seen it or anybody watched it?
Yes.
Yes?
I mean, I haven't finished it all the way. But
Where'd you stop?
I think there are, four seasons?
There are 4 seasons currently, yeah.
I think I didn't watch the latest season. I think I finished at season 3.
So if you end up watching season 4, just be aware it is extremely spooky. It is more horrifying than the rest the previous season. So be aware of that because the bad guy in that one is something else. It's great. I love it. But like, just be aware that you probably don't want to watch it alone by yourself because you need the protection. You know what I mean? It's great though.
This is the perfect excuse to like have a blanket and just like use it as a shield.
Yes.
Just like,
just get your little boo blanket, you know, and just cuddle up. But yeah, that show is absolutely amazing. And I actually like looked up a little bit about it just because I think it's fun to find fun facts from background stuff.
oh yeah.
And I really wanted to talk a little bit about Dr. Breanna, the character, because he is like this amazing villain character in this whole series, right? And apparently he wasn't supposed to be as big of a character. And I just found that out and I was like, wait, what? You know, the Duffer Brothers actually only wrote him in a little bit here and there. You can only see him in a few scenes in the first season, you know. But then they brought in Matthew Modine, the guy who plays him, and he just brought something to the character that they were like,
Like, hold up.
like you were supposed to be part of the story, but now I feel like you need to be part of the story even more. And so they brought in more for the character because that actor decided, hey, I'm going to put some really evil, lots of evil emphasis into this character. And he turned into this really crazy villain for the show. So I absolutely thought that was a really cool little fact about it. But and the season 5 is coming out next year sometime, so I'm very excited about that. What about you guys? Do you have any spooky shows you really like?
Well, it's so funny we were talking about Addams Family remakes because I love, of course, the original is amazing because kids can watch it, but then there's all the jokes that all the adults understand and love. And there were so many fun facts that I guess, as I was looking into this, I thought it was so cool. So it's like just kind of info dump. I don't know. I just thought it was kind of interesting. But like, you know, Wednesday's sleeping position, how she's like coffin or whatever. So Christina Ricci was the one that came up with that. So she had like a lot more freedom to kind of create Wednesday's character. And so she, with her arms folded across her chest, she came up with that herself. She was like, this feels right. So,
that's awesome.
And the name Gomez. So that, it was kind of up in the air. And so the actor that played Gomez in the end was the one that chose what his name was going to be. And so in the Charles Addams cartoons, like way back when, Gomez had no given name. So they had to kind of come up with one. So when the television series was being developed, Addams suggested naming the character either Rapelli or Gomez. So it was going to be one of the two. And I'm like, I'm glad they chose Gomez.
Yeah, can you imagine it being a different name at this point? Like,
And I love that the actors had so much influence into like how the movie came about. Because I feel like, especially with Christina Ricci, that's like her brand. Like
exactly.
Like Wednesday's kind of who people see her as, especially now coming back in the Wednesday show, which I know that you mentioned that you also watch.
Yeah, I love the Wednesday show, but of course I'm a Tim Burton fan, so I love anything Tim Burton brings out. But Jenna Ortega did such a great job of bringing back Wednesday, and then of course seeing Christina Ricci in it, and it's just such a good adaptation of the show, I think. But yeah, like you said, there's so many different adaptations, but that one in particular, I feel like they did a great job of bringing back the original feel of the movie and like the characters and stuff.
Like with
very good job.
Morticia's lighting, like that is so iconic.
It's classic. It's classic. So they did a great job. I think they did anyway. What about you guys? Spooky TV shows, movies?
I used to watch Sabrina the Teenage Witch, like the cartoon version.
Yes, that's right.
And something, as I was like doing some digging, I figured out that it was a comic. I didn't realize that. And then they also, with the new like Sabrina TV show, like I forgot what it's called, but
I think it's just called Sabrina, right?
it's like,
I think so.
there's like a longer name, I think, but
Is there?
I think so. But she's also included in the Archie comics, so like Riverdale. And so she like makes a few appearances in that TV show, which I thought was really cool. And I didn't realize before that they were connected in that way. So.
Oh my gosh, that's so cool. What the heck? What about you, Maiya?
I would say I actually have a few facts written down.
Yeah.
So for the Blair Witch Project, did you guys know that during filming, the actors were given only vague instructions each day, and then it just like left them to just be like
open about it?
yeah, a lot of it was improvised. And so the directors intentionally scared the actors at night by making noises in the woods and depriving them of sleep to heighten their fear.
Oh no.
So is this the original one or the remake?
The 1999 version.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Terrifying.
it's insane.
It's so good.
Yes.
So spooky. There's so many good spooky movies and shows, and of course, we've already mentioned Tim Burton, but we just scratched the surface because this man has made so many movies. Like Nightmare Before Christmas, top tier, my favorite. Corpse Bride, so good. Oh my goodness, so good.
I love that it's not even like Halloween movie per se, but it's like it just fits. Tim Burton is Halloween.
He is Halloween. He is. And I know, Breanna, you talked a little bit about Edward Scissorhands, right? You've seen Edward Scissorhands?
I actually watched it 2 days ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, I had never seen it before. It was actually so good.
Isn't it great? Yeah. It's a classic. And I love like the music. Of course, Danny Elfman is just like this musical genius that Tim Burton has decided to just bring him in on all his projects. But actually, just a fun little fact about that. Did you guys know that Danny Elfman was he was a rocker. He just was part of a rock band before Tim Burton decided he wanted him in one of his projects. And then all of a sudden he turned into this like huge composer because Tim Burton was like, no, you need to be a composer. And Danny Elfman was like, okay. And then he was like, oh, okay, I guess I'm a composer now.
Worked out quite well for him, I think.
For a long time, he was one of the members of Oingo Boingo. Oh, yeah. And then he turned into this crazy composer because Tim Burton was like, no, you're a composer, which is crazy. But do you guys have you seen Edward Scissorhands?
I have not. I know.
No? It's so good. It's so good.
I love like Frankenweenie. Saw that growing up. I used to think, I don't know why, but like the black and white used to give me a headache. It was like so
weird. that makes sense
like,
though.
Isn't that so strange? Like I can watch other black and whites, but that one specifically, I was just like.
Imagine going though, like the people that watched movies before, going from black and white to color, they probably were like,
oh, too much.
That's a lot, that's a lot more than just like a couple little shades here and there, right?
You think like the early, like Dracula and like all the early vampire movies. Like, there were so many like classic films that were in black and white that just, chef's kiss.
Speaking of Dracula, have you guys seen Bram Stoker's Dracula, like the original one?
No.
So I will say this, it doesn't have music because, back then they played pianos and stuff when you were in the theater. So if you watch it, just be aware, it's a lot more dry and not as intense as you would think, right? Because it's the first Dracula, right? One of the first ones. And so that's one thing. And then another thing about it, which I thought was really interesting, was that they turn into wolves. The vampires turn into wolves. And this is where the original concept of werewolves came from, was from Dracula. Isn't that weird?
Tell it to Twilight, see what
Yeah.
is it?
So I'm sure there were probably like, civilizations that had things about werewolves and stuff, but like for sure when it comes to like movies, apparently Dracula used to change into wolves, so.
Where'd the bat thing come from then, do you think?
And I think that was part of it too. He turned into wolf and a bat. Different things. Isn't that weird? So.
Also love Hotel Transylvania. That is, if we're just thinking about Dracula, then that makes perfect sense. Isn't the first one, are all of them, not all of them, but which ones are based around Halloween? I feel like it's one of them, like one of the films, because there's like, what, 4 now?
I don't know, how many are there? Is there 3?
I think the first one is, I think, which would make sense.
They've made a few of them.
Yeah.
They go on like a cruise ship. They do a dance. They do the Macarena with the Kraken in one of them. Like it cracks me
Those are so great, though. I love them. And then when you think of spooky season, at least as a kid, I remember watching Casper, the Friendly Ghost.
Yes.
Yes.
Not the one with Hilary Duff, which.
Yeah, I don't like that one. I don't like the one with Hilary Duff.
I didn't even know that one existed. I was like,
I
what?
remember watching it on Disney Channel, and I don't remember what part specifically, because I haven't watched it in years, but there's just one part where I realized like I don't like that. But that's like all I remember from that movie. It's like,
That was all you needed to know.
yeah, and I was done. Cut that out of my memory.
Back to Christina Ricci, of course. She's the queen.
With her, the Casper movie with Christina Ricci is the best. Like, so good. Like, it's like on my list. Every single year I have to watch Casper at least once because it's just something about it. It's like a classic, you know, you need to see Fatso the ghost get sucked up by the vacuum. You just have to see it every single year. It's so good.
What are you guys' thoughts about Charlie Brown and the holiday specials?
Charlie Brown is so good. Oh no, Megan!
It's just not nostalgic for me. That's all. Truthfully, we grew up watching like Nightmare Before Christmas and Corpse Bride. I was watching more of the like spooky stuff when I was younger, and so all of those things that aren't spooky, like Hocus Pocus and Charlie Brown, like those are the other things. Whoa, all those other things. Just we didn't watch them, and so growing up, I'm like, I'm good. It's just boring to me, and so maybe should have been my hot take. Charlie Brown, is it the Great Pumpkin? Is that what it is?
Pumpkin.
It's the same thing with the Christmas one. I know that's horrible, but it just makes me fall asleep. I'm like, yep, maybe that was the point. I don't know.
Was Nightmare your favorite as a kid too?
Yeah. Like it was the road trip film. Like in the intro, like this, I can still picture it. Like where the like thing goes across the screen. Like there's like a blue like stripe or like a circle that kind of goes across the screen as the music starts playing. And like every time, that's how you knew that was the perfect road trip movie. Like so nostalgic.
I remember when I was like 6 years old. This is how much I love this movie. When I was 6 years old, I would ask them, because we had the tape version, which is showing something. Showing my age a little bit, but anyway, we had the tape version, and I would ask my older brother all the time, can you rewind this? Can you rewind this? Because I wanted to watch it all the time. As a 6-year-old, that's what I wanted to watch every single day, rerun it every day, all the time. And so now at this point, I just kind of have the whole thing memorized because, you know, when I was a kid, I was always watching it, so.
My nephew loves The Nightmare Before Christmas, and he's an artist, and he would draw Jack the Pumpkin King like all the time in his sketchbooks.
Cool. I love fan art. It's the best.
My sister loves Oogie Boogie. Like her birthday just recently happened, and so my parents got her the massive, like not the large, but the uber massive squishmallow of Oogie Boogie, and it looked awesome. I didn't know it existed, and so I was like, I might have to look for like a Sally one of those, because I found like at Walmart they had the small Sally squishmallows, and so I was like, yes. No, I want one for Zero. I want the Zero squishmallow. But seriously, like, and then especially like if you go to Disneyland, all of the influence of Nightmare Before Christmas, instead of it being like the New Orleans like area, it's Nightmare Before Christmas everywhere. And then Haunted Mansion, of course, classic. I love that ride. And so, am I the only one that has experienced that ride?
I haven't got to go.
Or maybe Disney World. I haven't been to Disney World, but.
But is the Haunted Mansion the one where they like take you up and then drop you, or is that the Tower?
Is the Tower of Terror, yes.
Okay, I've been on that one. I haven't been on the Haunted Mansion.
Haunted Mansion, you sit in like these, especially when they deck it out for Halloween and Christmas, it looks so cool. But you sit in these little, like, I don't know what you want to call it, carts or whatever, and it's like a little bowl, so you just feel like it's you, because the others are black. You can't really see anybody else, and you're taken through the Haunted Mansion. It's like a guided ride, and they've made it it didn't used to be like Nightmare Before Christmas influence, but they made it that way now, and so you go through the whole story and you see like ghosts. It looks like it's a haunted place, and the music, and just really immersive. That's probably what I could have said. It's like a immersive, like guided experience through the Haunted Mansion.
Cool.
And so, yeah, I absolutely love it. I'm surprised you haven't gone since you love it so much.
I mean, yeah, it's travel. That's all true. It is. It's just it's a place that I haven't been able to go. So I've always wanted to.
On the bucket list.
Yes, and that actually, I'm such a big fan that my Christmas tree is like almost 100% Nightmare Before Christmas ornaments.
Yes.
Like, so like I would say a good 92% is Nightmare Before Christmas.
Do you have the like
So-
snake that eats
No,
the
that
gifts?
is my,
You should.
That's my next thing on my list. I want the snake that goes underneath the tree, you know, and then have like a gift in it
With the angry
and the
face.
wreath. Yes. So I'm just every year I collect more and more and just add it to my Christmas collection. So if they're gonna put Christmas into my spooky season, I'm gonna put spooky season into their Christmas season. So that's
Well,
how
what
it's
have-
gonna work.
Like, what have been some of your nostalgic, like Halloween films? I guess you could say, if any.
I know there have been. Like The Corpse Bride has definitely been one. And sadly for you, Hocus Pocus.
I wonder.
There's like this weird, I think it was a Nickelodeon movie. It had Victoria Justice in it called The Boy Who Cried Wolf. She like turns into a werewolf and it's so funny.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I
think that's so cool. Like, and sorry, go ahead. Did you have some? Oh, I'm so sorry. No, you go ahead. I've been talking for so long. I want to hear from you guys more.
My favorite would probably be Charlie Brown. Like we always watch it at home, and it's just so nostalgic for me.
Have you guys? Was there ever like a movie that you saw that you wish they made a TV show out of it, when it, like spooky wise?
Oh, that's an interesting question. I'd have to think about that. Oh.
I feel like Corpse Bride would be kind of fun. Because like, yes, it's like one story, right? Like they go from beginning to end, right? But if you see, like, I love how lively the dead world is and how dead the live world is. And I'd love to see more about like different characters that are in those. Like, how did the children's skeletons die? And like, can we get into their story a little bit? I think it would be fun to see like the different characters that were kind of in the background in the movie and just learn more about them. Because obviously some of them died in the war, and that's kind of fun to see. And I think it would be kind of interesting to learn how they felt when they died and like got into this lively place, you know? I don't know. I think that would be an interesting TV show.
I think so. I feel bad for the creators of that film because claymation, that would be brutal to make it like a film, or I guess.
Or into a TV show.
Oh, did I say?
Yeah.
You know what I meant. Making it into a TV, but from the film into a TV show. It's already intensive to make it into a film,
yeah.
and so like having to, that would be really cool. I'd watch that.
Heck yeah.
I had a, gosh darn it. I remember now, because we were talking about like nostalgic stuff. So when you mentioned Disney Channel, this reminded me of, I loved the Halloween specials of like my favorite Disney Channel shows, like Ant Farm. I remember the Ant Farm Halloween special was like my Roman Empire, I guess you could say. Like I just would think about it all the time. I was just, I didn't think I'd use that reference. It's kind of funny. Like I just remember watching it all the time. It was like a longer episode. And have you guys seen it? Do you know what I'm talking about?
I feel like I watched it, but I don't remember.
It's where they all they start the episode as monsters. So instead of them being instead of them being gifted students, they're mutants. And so that's like the gifted program is just mutant students. So everybody in the school is normal and is like, they're terrified of these mutants. And China is, I think she's like a Medusa. So she has like snakes for hair, and then, oh goodness, Fletcher is a vampire. And then Olive is, like, she has a massive brain.
Actually,
Like the giant brain.
as you're talking, like, it's actually coming back. Like, I remember.
And then Gibson is a mummy. And, like, all of them have, like, these different characters. And so, and the whole point of the episode is them, like, China wants to fit in. And so at the school dance, like, they tried to mingle the two halves of the school. And China, like, puts this kind of, like, elixir into the punch that turns all of the mutants like humans again. And so it's like a whole thing, and eventually they find out it's a big mistake, or like it starts to wear off or something like that. And so by the end of the dance they've become like back to themselves, and it's kind of like being true to who you are and like loving yourself for who you are and that kind of thing. But I remember that episode was just something else. I don't know, that was like the epitome of like nostalgic TV show watching during Halloween.
China Anne McClain, did a music video called Calling All the Monsters.
Yes. And that shows in that song. Whoa. Let me try that again. I got way too excited. That song is in the episode. Yes.
Yeah, and my siblings and I would rewatch that music video because it had her 2 sisters in there. We would rewatch that like over and over again.
That's so good. Like, oh my word. I'm trying to think of other ones that I'm sure that all of the Disney Channel.
They've had so many different ones at this point.
Specials,
So good.
Wizards of Waverly Place, it was basically a Halloween episode, like every episode. But when they started bringing in the vampires and the werewolves, that was pretty fun.
Bridget Mendler and whatever that other guy's name was.
British.
Yes. I can't remember if his actor's name was Mason or if that was the character's name.
I think that was the character's name. Yeah.
Or My Babysitter's a Vampire.
Oh, I remember that TV show.
That one happened during Halloween too, right? I think it did.
There's so many really cool Halloween episodes that you can just kind of pick out from different shows. Oh my gosh. Of course, SpongeBob had some really fun ones, and even the Christmas episodes of SpongeBob were just great too. But oh my goodness, so many fun spooky movies and spooky shows.
Sweet Life of Zach and Cody.
Yes, they had a great one
too. There was one where it was a ghost in this one specific room, and they all did a stakeout to try and help Cody. He lost his blanket.
Do we have any Friends fans here? Because there were a couple of really fun Friends episodes.
I love Friends, but I can't speak to having watched every single episode.
That's fair.
I remember the Thanksgiving episodes.
Yes.
And my sister would rewatch those ones.
Those ones are iconic.
But I don't remember the Halloween ones.
Some of the Halloween ones, they had costume parties and stuff, and like they would have people show up that wouldn't normally be part of the show, like Phoebe's twin sister, and lots of extra drama coming in because it's the spooky episode kind of thing. So there was some fun episodes in Friends for sure. If you guys are Friends fans, it's a great show. Speaking of shows though, other shows, we talked about maybe talking about some true crime shows. Are there any particular true crime shows that you guys like?
So my grandma, even though the true crime would scare her, she would watch it. We would watch it at night too.
That's awesome.
So we would watch Dateline NBC or 60 Minutes, and then we'd get scared.
No.
But we loved watching it with her because it was such a core memory and things that she liked. So we would just watch it with her, and
That's awesome.
I love that.
yeah.
I don't know if there's a particular one that I can think of true crime, but I have shows that I really like that are based on true crime. So they're not quite there, but like Bones, for example.
Yes. Yeah.
Love that show. And there's definitely some stories in there that are based on true stories that happened. And that's also a thing in NCIS, in CSI. Those things
Where
are...
you think they get all their inspiration from.
Yeah, a lot of them are based on true stories. So it's really cool. Those shows I've been obsessed with for a long time.
One I really want to get into. I don't know if it's based off of real events. I'm not sure too much of the premise. I just know the 3 main characters. I make it enough for me, but No Murders in the Building.
Oh,
I want to watch that so.
I haven't seen it yet.
I've watched a few episodes, and it's really good.
Like Steve Martin, Martin Short, and Selena Gomez. I mean, come on. That is going to be. Exactly.
Have you seen the movie Clue?
No.
Clue's
That
great.
one's
Well, that's a
really
classic
good.
one
Is that
too.
one? When was that made? I can't remember.
It was in
the 80s.
80s,
Yeah.
That's probably why I haven't watched
It's a
it.
classic.
Good to know.
Well, we've got one little quiz to wrap up the show here. So one of our other students in the class actually found some quotes from classic spooky movies, and we need to try to guess what those movies are.
Okay.
So here's the first quote. My employer would like you to solve a mystery on Spooky Island.
Oh, that's the
Scooby-Doo?
Yes, the Scooby-Doo.
It's Scooby-Doo. That's
Crazy.
correct.
I literally just watched that a couple days ago for the first time. That is so ironic. Okay.
All right, here's the second one. This city is headed for a disaster of biblical proportions.
Oh no. Say it one more time.
This city is headed for a disaster of biblical proportions. Biblical proportions. That's hard to say.
Oh, fetch. I don't know if I can. I don't think I can call it off the top of my head.
It's a classic.
I know it. I just can't think of the movie.
It's Ghostbusters.
Oh, that's why. Okay, there we go.
All right, the next one. I sense there's something in the wind that feels like tragedy is at hand.
I'll keep my mouth shut. To give a hint, it's not spoken quote. That's a sung quote. So that's a song. That quote.
I just
is in
don't
the
want to
song.
sing.
If I were brave enough, I'd do it. I don't think.
Your answer, Megan? Because these two, I don't think they know.
It's Nightmare Before Christmas.
Of course.
Say that. but I was
Sally.
like,
It's Sally. Okay, and this is the last one. I had to wait 300 years for a virgin to light a candle.
Hocus Pocus.
Hocus Pocus, that's right. That's
I love
right.
that so
That's such a fun little game. I love it. And obviously, we could talk about this for hours and hours and hours. I love spooky stuff. And unfortunately, we have a limited time window, so we need to wrap things up. But it's been really fun chatting about spooky stuff with you guys. And I'm sure we probably could talk for another half hour on this. You've been listening to The Spot, a production of BYU-Idaho Radio. Today's hosts were
Megan Tomsik.
Maiya Waddell.
Breanna Latouche.
and I'm Savannah McCauley. The views and opinions of this podcast are not that of BYU-Idaho Radio or the university, and are solely the opinions of the hosts. This episode was edited by Bia Matos. Producers were the hosts with supervision by Brandon Isle and Natalia Hepworth. Our theme music is Finding Happiness by DJ Quads, and The Perpetual Ticking of Time by Artificial Music. To listen to more episodes of The Spot, like and follow us on social media, or visit our website, byui.edu/radio, and click Podcasts. Be sure to subscribe to The Spot podcast wherever you get your podcasts, and leave a review of the show and leave a comment on what we should talk about next.